Hi and welcome back. This is kind of a continuation of my previous videos, California Highway 14 and 395 attractions, as I'm still heading to the East Bay for a friend's birthday, traveling the long way. I always wanted to visit Lassen Volcanic National Park, entering the area off Highway 89 from the south. The remnants of the Dixie Fire of 2020 is still very visible. This beautiful curvy park road, built between 1925 and 1934, effectively acted as a built-in fire break during the Dixie Fire. Attributed to power lines, the Dixie Fire started 35 miles southwest of Lassen on July 13, 2021. From outside the park, the fire raced into Lassen's north and northeast sections, entering the southeast corner on August 5th. On August 12th, a separate fire caused by lightning strike on Morgan Summit near the park's southwest entrance merged with the Dixie Fire to the northeast. Ultimately, 73,240 acres of the park were impacted, and the fire destroyed or damaged 12 park structures. The Dixie Fire burned large portions of the national park, becoming the largest wildfire in the park history. The park is located near the northern end of Sacramento Valley, near the cities of Redding and Susanville, in portions of Shasta, Lassen, Plumas, and Tehama counties. The park's elevation ranges from 6,000 to Lassen Peak, with an elevation of 10,457 feet. Lassen and Mount St. Helens, some 400 miles to the north in Washington State, were the only active volcanoes in the 48 conterminous U.S. states during the 20th century. The park has an area of 166 square miles and is surrounded by Lassen National Forest. The park occupies the southernmost extent of the Cascade Range, which also contains Mount St. Helens, at the northern limit of the Sierra Nevada. Traveling in June, I didn't realize they were still clearing the snow off of the 30-mile road. Yeah, what do I know? I grew up in Southern California. Anyhow, we made it about 5.5 miles of the 30-mile road that goes through, but that's all right. We'll make the best of it. And next year, I'll just have my friend change her birthday to a different date so I can actually come back through here and see it all. The views are spectacular. And that rock right there that you saw kind of fascinated me, so I had to take another picture of it. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Fun fact, Lassen Volcanic National Park actually started off as 2 national monuments, designated by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1907, Cinder Cone National Monument and Lassen Peak National Monument, starting in May 1914 and lasting until 1917. A series of minor to major eruptions occurred on Lassen. Because of the eruptive activity and the area's stark volcanic beauty, Lassen Peak, Cinder Cone, and the area surrounding were established as a national park on August 9, 1916. The dominant feature of the park is Lassen Peak, the largest plugged dome volcano in the world and the southernmost volcano in the Cascade Range. Lassen Volcanic National Park is one of the few areas in the world where all 4 types of volcanoes can be found. And these are the shield, the stratovolcano, domes, and cinder cone. The 30-mile car tour, or auto tour, has a total of 16 stops, and I got to see just a handful. My plan was to drive the 30-mile road and relax and enjoy the drive, turn around, and then head back south and make all the stops. So at number 5, yep, that's all we got, is Crystal Lake. Isn't this beautiful? I really have to make a point to come back during the on season, which is apparently September through November. I never saw stop number 4, Little Hot Springs Overlook. Most likely it was covered in snow. But here's number 3, Diamond Peak Scenic Vista. Unfortunately, you can still see the charred trees from the Dixie Fire. Nevertheless, what a beautiful overlook. European immigrants in the mid-19th century used Lassen Peak as a landmark on their trek to the fertile Sacramento Valley. One of the guides to these immigrants was a Danish blacksmith named Peter Lassen, who settled in Northern California in the 1830s. Lassen Peak was named after him. Noble's Immigrant Trail was later cut through the park area and past Cinder Cone and the fantastic lava beds. Hopefully on my next visit, without the road closures, I'll be able to visit those sites. Next up is the Sulphur Works. As you can see, the steam rising. This hydrothermal area is a otherworldly place of vibrant colors, pungent scents, meaning rotten egg smell, and shifting ground that is both ancient and new. Australian immigrant and pioneer of the American West named Matthias B. Supin extracted minerals from the ground here in the middle part of the 19th century. He refined sulfur and other elements into a variety of different products. Later, Supin's descendants filed a land claim for the area around the time Lassen Volcanic National Park was being created, and went on to develop Sulphur Works in a roadside attraction. Here is a superimposed image of the Sulphur Works in the past as a roadside attraction. Lassen Volcanic National Park acquired Sulphur Works parcel from the Supin family in 1952. Sulphur Works hydrothermal area sits at the center of a wide basin surrounded by towering volcanic peaks. Geologists have determined that the encircling peaks, Brokoff Mountain, Mount Diller, and Pilot Pinnacle, are all remnants of a larger eroded volcano called Brokoff Volcano. Looking at this rendering, you can see how huge that volcano once was. Its eruptive period ended about 360,000 years ago. Ever since, the forces of erosion by wind, rain, ice, hydrothermal activity have slowly broken apart and carried away the mountain, bit by bit, leaving the large erosion basin we see today. Alright, enough of all this yappity yap. Let's bebop down and take an up close and personal look at the Sulphur Works. But first, we gotta read all of these signs. For our own safety, I think they get the point across that do not go off the beaten path. As I was walking towards the Sulphur Works, I heard this roaring, and I just looked up the side of the mountain and saw this amazing waterfall coming down. And just past the waterfall, I got my first glimpse of the geothermal activity and the rotten egg smell. And then right next to the path, right at the path, was this bubbling mud pit. Wow, pretty amazing. Nature is just incredible. Sulphur Works sits in the same general location as the central vent. Sulphur Works is part of the larger hydrothermal system in the park. Recent volcanic activity and hydrothermal systems are evidence that magma still lies beneath Lassen today. Standing next to this mud pot, I got to thinking, I'm standing in the middle of the ancient Brokoff volcano, and it used to tower over 11,000 feet high. That's crazy. Directly across the road from the mud pot is where the river flows into the valley. Isn't that beautiful? And if you look closely, you can see steam rising from the vents. Movies that were filmed in Lassen Volcanic National Park are the 2015 movies Echo Lake and The Burning Dead. In 2014 is Wild. In 1976, the film Fight for the Grey Wolf, along with many others, were all filmed here in Lassen Volcanic National Park. Here's me giving a big shout out and a wave to my mom with shadow play. All right. I think that's going to do it for Lassen Volcanic National Park. Can't wait to come back and see the other 11 stops that I did not or was not able to see on this trip. For those of you wondering what happened to stop number 1, I never saw a sign, but just down the road, maybe a mile and a half, was the visitor center. So that was probably the stop number 1. Anyhow, now I'm heading out because it's going to get dark soon and I got to find me a place to camp for the night. Heading southeast out of Lassen Volcanic National Park on Highway 36, otherwise known as Volcanic Legacy Scenic Byway, I came across Gernsey Campground in the Lassen Forest. And I thought, okay, let's do this. It's getting late and there will be other people there. And after my last experience with the bare trees, I thought, let's be around other people. Entering the campground, I looked around and I was choosing my spot. I did see a few other campers, not many, which made me feel pretty comfortable. And there was a camp host there as I drove past. Found my spot, and I walked to the pay station and met the camp host. And I asked him, "Do you have any issues with bears here?" And he says, "Oh yeah, all the time. They come walking through the camp." And he goes, "Actually, the spot you picked, that tree right next to it, that's their favorite tree." And I said, "Okay, I'm moving." I said, "Where is your camp?" And he said, "Right there." And I said, "All right, I'm moving next to you." So that's what I did. I learned a lot from the conversation with Doug, the camp host, about bears and the area. And boy, I'm glad he was there, and I'm glad I chose this stop because he was very informative. And wouldn't you know it, at the pay station was this big sign. Chatting with Doug, I found out this campground just reopened. It had been closed since the 2021 Dixie Fire, not because of the fire, but because they were falling trees that were dead or dying or diseased. The loggers were sent off to help clear the burnt trees, so they finally just got back to it. What do we have here? Oh yeah, that is dinner. Thanks, Mom, for rolling those balls. I can't tell you how much I love this 12-volt lunchbox crock pot cooker. So Doug, the camp host, came back by and brought me a stack of firewood, which I thought was very kind. And he told me a bear story. Now, I recorded it, but only the audio, so here it is. You got it going, huh? Yeah, I do.
A week before we opened, he'd go 450 pounds.
Whoa!
Yeah, he was big.
Wow.
And I heard him coming, and everybody said, "Well, they don't come." Like this old dead snag right there.
Yeah, I saw. I took a picture of it, actually.
Yeah, them bears are digging them for them ants and grubs. And the same with a log that's behind my deal. Comes over and there's a stump. They've almost demolished that stump.
Wow.
And I've had two, but that first one I seen, my dog was out there. I heard it. I thought it was a limb or a tree fell, and he was going over that old dead log. Boy, he come up, my dog sitting there, and she's looking out that window, and all of a sudden she just started throwing a fit. And I said, I see him. Well, I fired up my generator, and I got 6 lights on that thing.
I'm going to interrupt his story here to point out not only did he bring me firewood, but he brought me a fire poker. What an amazing camp host. Okay, back to the story.
And that trailer on the outside. I turned him on, and he kind of looked at him, and he walked across, and my pickup was pointed out the other way, and I unlocked it to turn on the headlights.
Right.
He just looked at the headlights and strode on across, went across the road, and well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my dog, I knew she was upset because she come up and she slept up by my head, and I went, "Oh yeah, I can see your point. They're going to get me first before they get you."
Mom, I know you like that story, so I have another one from Doug.
I went in, put up the grocery to let my dog in, and she's sitting there, and I said, "You need to go pee?" And she's like, "Yeah." She went out the door, went out to go pee, and she just about got done with pee, and her ears stood up, and she started throwing a fit. Well, I turned up the light and went, "Oh, get back in the trailer."
Wow.
It was a smaller one, same thing. Walked right on through and went across the road. But they never used to have problems with bears here, and never did, till after that Dixie Fire.
Yeah.
And then everybody said, "Well," the guy goes, "They got to go someplace."
That's right. All the food's gone, and then there's no shelter.
So they got to go someplace. So,
yeah.
And you tell it, but I've had people sleep out, and like I told wife, wouldn't bother me one bit to sleep out there in the tent.
That was just 2 of the many stories Doug told me that night. I can't tell you meet the nicest people out here. And on that note, the fire's going out. We've got a big day tomorrow, so good night. And top of the morning to you. We're back. I'm heading out of Gernsey Campground, heading south on the 32 towards Chico for the next stop, which is going to be Lake Oroville. So along this route, I saw an historical sign, so you know I had to pull over and check it out. The 14-Mile House was a site on Old Humboldt Road, which is named as a historical monument by the legislature in 2001. Paul Lucas and his son John built a fine 2-story hotel. The hotel, a slaughterhouse, and a hide house, which later served as a school for the Chico Canyon children, were collectively referred to as the 14-Mile House. So I had some time and thought, well, let's turn down 14 Mile Road and go check it out. Only to be struck with the sign, private property, and apparently it's a housing tract, which looks like something that the housewives of Orange County or whatever will come walking out any minute. So after further investigation, I found this. Soon after the 19th century, the toll house was adjacent to the road, was moved 4 miles north near Forest Ranch, and the last remaining 14-Mile House buildings, the old barn and others, disappeared in the 1960s. Well, the house was moved and now it's in a residential neighborhood. It had completely been remodeled, and yeah, I ain't showing you that. It's what a waste of time that was. But anyway, moving on, just down the road I saw this tree and it really caught my eye, so I took a picture of it. I wonder what caused it to grow like that. So interesting, huh? Like it's trying to get out of there. As I make my way to Lake Oroville State Recreation Area, I thought we could enjoy the scenery and have a fun fact about how to prevent bears from attacking you while camping with my favorite camp host, Doug. This clip was taken when I first got to the camp and ran across Doug as I was going to the pay booth. So here you go.
All the bear warning signs. Is there really a bear activity here? I mean, obviously it's an option, right?
Yeah, no, they're here.
Yeah?
I've already seen 2.
Really?
Yeah.
But the black bears aren't aggressive, correct?
Well, they're not aggressive, but what they tell you is this. And it's true. Well, I've had people ask me, said, all right, what's the protocol? Because I've had people here sleep in hammocks. I had one guy pull in, put a sleeping bag up on top of the picnic table, put a pad down, put the bin, and he, motorcycle driver, went to sleep. And I said, all I can tell you is, if you don't have, like, my ice chest, or I got them orcas, and I said, they're pretty much smell proof. I said, the way they sit.
That's what I have.
Goes, yeah. But I said, they're outside, but I said, I don't keep no food in them. I said, it's just mainly drinks and all that shit. And they said, okay. I said, my food, if you're in a car, you keep it in your trunk or in your pickup.
Locked up, it's airtight.
And he goes, yeah, anything else? I said, yeah. I said, don't have any chewing gum in your pocket. I said, don't take toothpaste in your tent.
Oh, wow.
And he went, why not? I said, most of toothpaste has got peppermint in
Right.
it. They can smell that. And I said, shampoo. He goes, shampoo? I said, yeah, if you get this non-scented shit, you're all right. But I said, most of the shampoo, these got women, I said, bet you got strawberry shit and everything else. I said,
And sorry to say, at that point, my battery died. Oh, man. He was such a great guy with such good information. All right, moving on. So we arrived at Lake Oroville, and I'm now proceeding to drive across the dam. Quite interesting. I don't know if you all remember in 2017, I think it was the snowpack melt and the dam was at its limit, and then it started flowing over and it started eroding and the spillway was destroyed. It was pretty hairy and scary there for a while. At that time, we're all tuned in, my friends and I, to YouTube, to a channel called Blanco Lirio, His name is actually Juan Brown. He's an aviation dude. Here's his thumbnail of his channel. And he did some great coverage of the Lake Oroville Dam. And he would fly over and then he'd go back and do some reporting. He was amazing throughout that entire time here at Lake Oroville. I recommend if you're into aviation and things like that, you go to his channel and watch, because he's pretty amazing dude. Alrighty, so let's get some information about Lake Oroville. It is a reservoir formed by the Oroville Dam impounding the Feather River, located in Butte County, Northern California. The lake is situated 5 miles northeast of the city of Oroville within the Lake Oroville State Recreation Area in the western foothills of the Sierra Nevada. At over 3,500,000 acre-feet, it is the second largest reservoir in California after Shasta Lake. Fun fact, the lake has an unmarked 9,000-foot diameter landing area for seaplanes. Very cool. The lake is nationally renowned for its bass fishing, and white salmon are also stocked from the Feather River Fish Hatchery. Does it feel like this dam is just going on forever? Because it does for me. I couldn't believe how long of a drive it was to cross over this dam. Crazy. The dam was completed in 1968. And Oroville Dam is an earthen dam, and it's the tallest dam located in the United States, measuring over 770 feet high and 6,920 feet across. Well, no wonder. That's actually 1.31 miles. What a long drive that was. All right, so we reached like a parking lot here. So let's go park and check out the sights. Do you see that sign on the right? That's pointing to a boat ramp at the top of the dam. This is crazy. And straight ahead, that's the emergency spillway. That is when the lake gets too high, it just flows right on over down into the river below. All right, we're gonna go check this out. The parking lot here at the end of the dam is pretty big, and there's a lot of little monuments and plaques. California patting itself on the back for what a great job they did building the dam, which they didn't realize was going to fail many years later. And accolades of the such, and a memorial plaque to all the people who passed during the construction of this dam. But let's put things into perspective by using this photo here. I entered from the east side, about here, crossed the earthen dam, about 1.31 miles. The Hyatt power plant's just below that. And I am right now at the parking lot just before the spillway. This spillway can be controlled and let water out when the lake gets too high. And just past that is the emergency spillway. That is all just dirt. All right. Thanks to Google Earth History, let's go back. Here is 2013. You can see the lake is pretty full. Not real full, but it's up there. And in 2015, man, it was pretty low. It come 2016, it was extremely low. It's amazing how it fluctuates, right? This is February 2017 when the spillway started to break free, and here's a good image here where you can see where the water diverted over there to the right. 2017, in October, the construction crews were starting to rebuild it. And you can see on the left there, the emergency spillway all concreted over. Look how green it is in 2021. This is February. And in July of 2023, we're dried up again. This parking lot was completely covered during the flood. This is the entrance to the main spillway, and in the distance is the emergency spillway. I'm not seeing the bathtub ring like you do at Lake Mead and things. But the water must be pretty high for them to close the boat ramp road here. I'm not sure if it's actually a boat ramp or if it's a road leading down to that parking lot where boat ramps are. But we're going to head down there here in a second and check it all out. Looking back towards the east across the dam, you can see two big squares. They almost look like hatches or doors maybe. I'm not sure. That may open. And that might be the intakes for the Hyatt power plant. So below this parking lot is this road. And I believe this road is going to take you across the spillway, past the emergency spillway, and take you down to the parking lot down below. So there's the spillway and the emergency spillway with the white concrete in the distance. As you can see, water is being released now down the spillway. Pretty interesting. All right, so let's take a look back in time in 2017. Here's the water breaching the emergency spillway. And here, if you look right there, that's where that parking lot and the boat ramps are that you can't see. And I guess it's not really dirt, it's probably rock and granite and stuff, but there was dirt on top that all got washed down. All right, we're gonna leave the parking lot here, probably drive over the spillway, and then it looks like in front of the emergency spillway down to the boat ramps and parking lot below. The Lake Oroville, California State Recreation Area was established in 1967 and supports outdoor recreation activities such as camping, picnicking, horseback riding, hiking, sail and power boating, water skiing, fishing, swimming, boat end camping, floating campsites, and horse camping. Horse camping. I guess that's where you ride your horse in and go camping? I'd like to see horses go on recreation.gov and reserve that spot. Honestly, I can't even figure out that app and website. Holy moly. After answering some simple questions to a really amazing and informative guard there, we're finally driving over the spillway. This is really something. And straight ahead, that's the emergency spillway that is now all covered in concrete. Wow. Comparing all of this and what we saw back in 2017, and then I'm driving right across it, is pretty amazing. While we make the drive to the parking lot and boat ramps, I have another story from Doug, the camp host. However, I did not record it, but I'll give you the short version. I assume Doug was a truck driver before becoming a camp host. Back in 2017, he was hired to haul in supplies for the rebuilding of the spillways. He was told the job was high security, not to have any alcohol or drugs on him during these trips to the dam. As Doug stated, that was no problem, as he was not into any of that. He was also warned he and the truck would be inspected upon entering and exiting the area. Well, they took photos of him, his truck inside and out, even in his cooler, and all but strip searched him. The inspection going to the dam took about 15 to 20 minutes, but leaving took over an hour. Do you know why? Gold. It's all about gold. The flooding apparently exposed a lot of gold, and it's illegal in California to pick up gold from the ground on state-owned land or something like that. Now that's just nuts. So this is where I'm at now. But during the events of 2017, this parking lot and facility was completely underwater. Driving through the area, it looks like it recovered very nicely. And with the current lake level and the boat ramp straight ahead, man, this looks like perfect conditions to launch a boat. And with that said, look at all of the boat trailers that are empty in the parking lot. There's a lot of people out here enjoying the lake today, that's for sure. But up here on the left, I saw a building. Let's go check it out and see what it's all about. Of course, I was hoping it was a visitor center, but it ended up being just bathrooms. Anyhow, I want to find out where that road on the top of the dam ends up down here somewhere, and it looks like I found it. With that said, when the lake levels are cooperating, I bet this is kind of a shortcut down into the parking area where the boat ramps are. But if you look straight ahead, that's the intake for the spillway, and over to the left, you can see the gravel road sloping down into the lake, and that was the top of the dam where I was at just earlier with the road closed. Amazing. And from this angle, the spillway intake is huge. And what's even scarier is the emergency spillway here, which the lake level looks pretty close to the top of it. Again, no wonder the road is flooded over. This must be some high lake levels right now. And this is, I believe, I'm in mid-June of 2024. But just to think this whole area was completely flooded over back in 2017 is just, it's crazy. Anyhow, all right, let's head on back. And we do have to cross the dam again, but I am going to have some clips here because the view is a little different going back. And that's because I can hang my camera out the window and really get a good view of the now concreted over emergency spillway. A minute ago, I mentioned a floating campground. You're probably going, what is that? Well, only at Lake Oroville do they have these platforms, and they're numbered, and you actually rent them and go and pitch your tent on top. Isn't that cool? And bring your boat. Floating campgrounds, Lake Oroville. It's crazy to think that back in prior to 2017, this was just dirt, you know, it was just an earthen dam with rocks and stuff. And now, since the event, it's all concreted over, but not all the way down. And here's a good view of the spillway that you can see that we're driving over now, that there is water definitely being released. Because it was looking close to the top there for a minute, don't you think? Anyhow, and this is a better view of Lake Oroville heading across the dam, the 1.3 miles, and we're going to go try and find that visitor center. At the end of the dam, there was a pullout with some information signs. And here's a question for you. What has a diameter of 19 feet and weighs 165,000 pounds? The answer is this Francis runner from the Edward Hyatt Power Plant. Wow, let's check it out. Water released from Lake Oroville is used to produce electricity via the Hyatt Power Plant, located in the bedrock beneath and inside the core of the Oroville Dam. The plant can also pump water back into the lake to be reused for power generation. Now that's cool. The dam's inner core is a thin layer made of clay material which resists seepage. Thin layer? What? Gold dredging tailings, sand and gravel left from the early 20th century gold rush dredging operations along the Feather River make up the remainder of the Oroville Dam. It's hard to believe that tailings and things like that is what this dam is made of, and it can hold back all that water. That's just simply crazy. Well, I found the visitor center. Yep, open 7 days a week, except Thursday, June 13th, the day that I'm there. Unbelievable. But we're going to travel down along the road and see if we can see more from down below the dam. These are the power lines that are probably going to the Hyatt Power Plant, and there is the spillway. Look at the water coming down. Oh my goodness. That is wild. Now, if we remember back in 2017, the area here that you see the dirt, that was all eroded away. So back in 2017, there was apparently some major cracks in that spillway, and when they let out the volume of water that they did, it went underneath into those cracks and just eroded that spillway away, and the water diverted off to the side and eroded the hill there. But now, 2024, it looks like it's all been fixed and put back together, looking pretty good. It's kind of pretty watching that water flow down into the river below. To get this filming spot was a little difficult. It's like a little 2-lane road, and you see little gravel, like wide spots to pull over a little bit. But then you got to climb through the bushes. But at least I found it and got the view. Look how good the hill looks there. All been replaced. Looking real good. So I drove down a little further and found another little pull out and climbed through the bushes. But at least I got the view. I was really hoping to see this. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. Well, let's hope this holds for the next event. And that way all the people down below the dam will be safe and sound. Pretty amazing. I've always wanted to come visit here, and I'm glad I did. Too bad that visitor center was closed. Can you believe it? All right, moving on. Here's a did you know moment. Beneath the dam is a giant cavern, almost as large as the state capitol building. It was hollowed out to house the 6 power generation units. Oh my God. The plant will generate more than 2.8 billion kilowatt hours of energy annually. As recently as early August 2021, the hydroelectric power plant was temporarily shut down due to low water levels in Lake Oroville caused by the drought in California. I thought they were pumping the water back in to reuse it. I guess it wasn't happening fast enough. Keep in mind we're below the dam now, and the Feather River Fish Hatchery was built to compensate for the spawning grounds lost to returning salmon and steelhead trout. With the construction of the Oroville Dam in the early 1960s, salmon and steelhead raised at the hatchery are transported in oxygenated, temperature-controlled tanks and released in the Feather and Sacramento rivers and/or the Delta near the San Francisco Bay area. This looks like a massive fish ladder, nothing like you see at the Home Depot or on the side of the freeway for sure. It looks like there's a few mini dams here on the Feather River, but I guess they're a little too high for the fish to jump up and swim upstream to spawn. But it sure is beautiful out here, isn't it? Look at that. The fish account for an estimated 20% of the ocean sport and commercial catch in the Pacific Ocean. Hatchery salmon are also planted in Lake Oroville. The first salmon and steelhead entered the hatchery in September of 1967. Today, the facility accommodates an average of 8,000 fish. Wow. Let's take a closer look at the fish ladder. You can see these steps here, so the fish have a gentle uphill climb. Pretty cool. Okay, this is funny. Bubbles or eggs? Well, if you would have cleaned the glass so we could even see through it, that would be kind of cool to watch the fish go up the ladder. Well, I'm glad I finally made it to this area. Ever since the 2017 event, I've always wanted to see it. This is the section of Northern California where I just traveled to. Here is Lassen Volcanic National Park, and then the Gernsey Creek Campground, 14 Mile House Road, Lake Oroville, and the Feather River Fish Hatchery. I know, Mom, this is not ghost towns and mines and things like you like, but we'll get back to that soon. Thank you, everybody who watches, and until the next one, love you, Mom.